everyone, and welcome to the podcast Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. So I have Carey Conley here with me today, and we are going to get started on recording this week's episode. And I'm really excited because Carey is a good friend of mine, and her and I talk a lot about vision and where we want our lives to go, where we want our lives to be. And Carey is really the vision expert. So we're going to go ahead and get into that today and hit record here and get rolling with Carey. Carey, you ready?
Always ready for you, Colleen.
All right, let's do this. All right. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I'm very excited that we are past Valentine's Day, and I had a long weekend away with my husband and was able to spend some time RVing across a couple of states, something we've never done before, but it was a lot of fun. I recommend it to everyone, and why I recommend it is it got us away when we didn't have internet service. We had the opportunity to really talk about things that we haven't talked about in a very long time. And we got to have our hotel on wheels. It was really nice to just be able to, I'm going to say it frankly, walk back to the bathroom and go pee when I needed to and not have to stop at the next gas station. So it was really a fun time. We ran into some snowstorms. But we had a blast. And for those of you that don't remember, I live in Arizona. So we spent our time around Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. So a lot of fun. And we really enjoyed our time away. And it was a great way for us to spend Valentine's Day. And but now we're back. And of course, it's back to work just as normal. And of course, I chose to go on a cleanse the week I got back. Probably not a good choice. I'm just dying today. I need to eat food. Humans need to chomp on food, and I've had liquid since Sunday. So today I woke up a little sluggish. So this is me at my lower energy, which most people only see me at my highest energy. So believe that this is my lower energy, and we're gonna get through this. And I'm really energized today to have Carey here. So Carey Conley, as I mentioned before we went live, is a really good friend of mine. And what I love about Carey so much is her ability to always want to stand in her own skin, always want to figure out who is the best version of Carey. And then how can she not only helps clients become the best version of themselves, but she's constantly on the search for looking for the best version of who Carey Conley is. And she's a vision expert. She takes that vision for you and helps you put that on paper so you can put that into tangible steps to execute on and take bold actions. So Carey Conley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Colleen. Man, I need to have you introduce me every morning.
I did that without a bio. I know you so well, and I guess I could have sat and read a bio, but to me, that's no fun. Right. It's better to just talk about why I love you as a friend, why I think you're so amazing. So what I'd like you to tell our listeners that maybe have never met you before, Carey, talk to us a little bit about your journey, because we have loops and turns and ebbs and flows in our life. And how did your taste for entrepreneurship really start for you back in the day?
Back in the day, which was a really long time ago, Colleen. When I was about 26 years old, which again was a few years ago, I was fairly newly married. We did not have our kids yet, but my husband and I both had just come out of college a couple of years later, and he went into corporate sales and did really, really well, stayed with the same company for over 25 years. I went into marketing and advertising and also sales and changed jobs about every 2 years because I just couldn't fit the mold. I couldn't find the right job, right? And this was the 80s, so in the 80s, what you did was you got a degree and you got a job and you stayed with the right company and you worked your way up the ladder, which was what all of our friends were doing. And I just couldn't figure it out, why I couldn't find the right job. And at one of those jobs, they had like a staff development day where they had a speaker come in from the outside. And I don't even remember what she talked about, Colleen. I just remember being so inspired by this woman and thinking, wow, I want to know more about what she does. And I just really loved her. And so I asked her to go to lunch with me. And she was the very first person in my life that told me I was never going to fit the 9-to-5 mold. that I needed to figure out what I wanted to create my life to look like, and then figure out what it is that I was going to do.
Mhm.
So I did that. I took a legal pad of paper and a day off of work, and I wrote out every single thing I wanted my life to look like in all the areas, right? What kind of wife I wanted to be, what kind of relationship I wanted to have with my husband, what we did with our time. I wrote a lot about being a mom because I knew we were going to have kids. So I wrote out that I wanted to be able to work from home, be with them, raise them, have a really great income while I was there. Personally, I wrote a lot about personal growth, about the kind of person I wanted to become. And on one of those lines on the piece of paper, Colleen, out of the blue, I wrote that someday I wanted to talk to people about how to write their own vision and how to goal set. I believe, now that I've done a lot of studying on this, and I know you believe in this too, that what happened because I got so still and so quiet that day is that God and I were collaborating. The universe was kind of showing me, here's what's in store for you and what your purpose is, right? And people just don't do that. I'm so glad that you took the weekend to go away with your husband and unplug, because I'm sure what you all talked about was your future, your vision for your life and what you both want. And so few people do that. And it's so powerful,
Yeah.
right?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wrote down we need to take the time to write down what it is that we want in all areas of our life. So whoever's listening right now, that's really your challenge out of today is I want you to take away and sit down and talk, either talk about it with a spouse or significant other, or write it down for you. And I was reading a Brene Brown book not too long ago, and the one thing I got out of that whole book, and this is the third time I've read it, but the one thing, and it's about letting go of the imperfections and the perfectionism that we think we have, and just really becoming who we are. And the one thing I got out of that book this round was we have all these goals that we're striving for. And I talked to my husband about it. It's like we have all these things that we want and goals that we're striving for. But when we literally write down, when we are at our happiest, what does our life look like? We're cooking together, we eat healthy foods, we work out together, we're spending time with our kids, we have time to hang out, we do vacations. So I look at that and I'm like, we have most of all of this already in our life when we're at our happiest. Why are we busting our butts to striving for something that actually leads to unhappiness?
Yeah, so true. Yeah,
It's something to think about, isn't it?
it
And
is.
I think we need to be very clear and understand our vision. So, Carey, how do you help people find the vision or get clarity on that vision, or really understand what should I be working towards? Because most people, when you ask them what they want, they literally just stumble. They
Right,
don't know what to say.
right. Well, first and foremost, it's because we have not been raised in a culture that tells us all along the way as we're growing up to take some time to really think about these things that we're talking about. That what is it that makes us happiest? What is it that we really desire? What's authentic for us, not what everybody else wants us to do.
Mhm.
It's very against the culture to think about what we want, and not listen to all the outside influences, right? So we get super confused, and that's why people stumble, is because nobody really asked that question, right? Unless you're
Mhm.
somebody like me. So yeah, and it's interesting what you just said, Colleen. So I've become a fan. I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown, but I'm also a really big fan of Dr. Shefali Sabari.
Mhm.
Dr. Shefali has been on Oprah many, many times. She's probably one of the most brilliant women I've ever heard. And I follow her because she speaks a lot about conscious parenting and a lot about teaching how to allow our kids to become who they are, not what we want them to be. It's groundbreaking stuff. And I just love it because, as you know, I have a big heart for young adults, and my daughter and I are now working with them on their vision and their
Mhm.
purpose. She said something to Oprah on an event that she was in last Saturday that I just thought, oh my gosh, I need to really incorporate this in my work. Somebody asked her if she believed in vision boards, because she talks so much about being only in the present moment. And of course, I was hanging on the edge of my chair going, I wonder what she's going to say about this. She said, vision boards are great, But the problem with it most of the time is that when people look at the vision board, what they feel in the present is lack, that they don't have those things. So they're already frustrated. They're feeling bad about themselves, and they're feeling scarcity mode. And what you and I both know is that what we think about, we bring about, right? Scarcity breeds more scarcity, and it breeds anxiety and a lot more lack. So without being rooted in the present moment at the same time you're going after the dreams that you want, we feel this disconnect.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how she said, we really only have the present moment. So if you're looking at a vision board, also be grateful and be very, very present in the moment that you have right now and what you have at this moment.
Yeah.
Right. And it was beautiful. And I am going to incorporate that into my workshops and the speaking that I do now, because it was an awakening, a lightning moment for me to realize that that is a feeling that I see most people have when I get them to write their vision on paper, like they've never done before. I usually ask them, how do you feel now? And I get a lot of positive, and like, I feel this is great. Gives me hope. I can see the light. I know what I need to do next. But I also get a lot of people going, this really scares me. And I think it's because of the lack, and because they don't feel like they can achieve any of those things with where they are right now.
Yes, that is absolutely it. It's really hard to stay rooted in the journey when you have a vision board in front of you and you have all of these aspirations and this vision of, and for some people, it's impossible for them to even envision it. I do something with my clients that's a really fun check game. And basically, what you're doing is you're writing a check every day, and then you have to go online and spend that check. Then the next day it doubles. And so you write the check, you put it under your pillow at night, then you wake up the next morning and you have to go online and spend that on you. And not on other people, like I want to, buy this for other people. It's something that you're purchasing for you. And when the money gets up there and you're doubling it and you're starting to get into the millions, then you're starting to get into the 20 million, 100 million, 800 million. Women start backing off and they literally do not know what to buy.
Mm,
Their minds can't comprehend, because most of them have never spent that amount of money in one day, let alone a lifetime. They
right.
can't comprehend what it would even feel like or be like to purchase maybe an orphanage, or to purchase land and build something in another country, or to have that infinite amount of money. And it really plays tricks on their mind to think, wow, I've never really expanded my mind past kind of this limiting belief of what I believe, to even comprehend what that would feel like or look like in my life. And I think we all go through those stages, Carey, where they just can't, when they're writing down their vision, you're asking them what they want. They want these things, but first of all, it scares them to death because they have no idea how they're going to get there. So I feel that that's where you come in with the clarity. You come in with the accountability. You come in with the comfort. You come in with kind of a hand holding for a little while to assist them in how they figure out how they're going to be able to reach that vision. Is that what you work with them on?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So once they become a client, they've already written out their vision the way I asked them to, Colleen. And how I ask them to do that is, and you know this because you've been through my workshops, I get them to write a 3-year letter, date a letter as if it's 3 years out from the day they're writing. Once they've got the date down, write down how old they will be and how old all their family members who are involved in their life will be. Because the two things that are non-negotiable in life is time and aging,
Mm-hmm.
right? The thing is that we don't project and we don't put a date on things. And the reason I look out 3 years is because organically about every 3 to 5 years, we've got some life shifts happening because of aging,
Yeah.
right? So when they start looking at that, they start realizing, okay, wow, I'm going to be, X number of years old. And my kids are going to be this old. And here's what I want my life to look like at that point of how our family is structured. So they write a letter. They write it as if they're writing it to a friend they haven't talked to in 3 years, and they're getting them up to speed on what they've done in their life since they last talked, what they're doing now, all the things that I said I wrote about, all the areas of my life in detail. Once I can see their 3-year vision of what their dream life looks like, then I can help them craft a plan with their business specifically that they can follow. They can reverse engineer the game plan, right? We've got a 3-year, now we can do a 1-year income producing game plan with their business. And so now they know activity wise what to do every quarter, every month, every week.
Yeah.
So they don't get confused. They don't get overwhelmed. They don't do all the things that look good, but they're not the right thing to do at that moment. They can put a timeline together. The biggest thing is that when they have the days where they're doubting and they're not staying true to doing what I call keep the main thing, which is the income producing activity every day. If they get confused, I can point them back to the vision and say, okay, well, let's check the vision and see if what you're doing right now lines up with that.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, we don't need to do it.
Right.
It's really that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that accountability piece of it because, it's so rough as an entrepreneur. You can feel very lonely at times, like you're the only one out there kind of, on this little island by yourself. And when you're in the corporate world, it doesn't feel that way. You're surrounded by people, there's other departments, there's always meetings that are happening, but when you're an entrepreneur, the meetings happen when you call a meeting or attend a meeting or go to a networking event. And when you're out there growing your own business, that's really tough to do on your own. So Carey, I'm so thankful that there are people like you that are out there that are assisting women in, getting their vision and really taking that vision and moving it to the next level. I work one-on-one with women as well, and I love working with women. That's my favorite thing to do. And mine really is about giving them the clarity of what they currently have in their business and how they can monetize that. And then what does that funnel look like? How do you get people to really trust you and appreciate you and want to work with you? How do you warm them up to that? What is the process of the steps you need to take to that? That way they have clarity and they're not doing what I call manic manifesting, right? So we do a lot of the same things, but the manic manifesting is like, well, I offer all these things and I'm throwing it all out there to everyone for them to partake in all this stuff, but no one's buying. It's like, well, you're confusing the heck out of them. They have no idea what they're supposed to buy. But if you have clarity on, the one thing, just the one thing that you need to be working on. I'm actually reading that book right now. I have it right here at my desk called The One Thing. I love this book.
Yep.
And what's great about it is, he talks about building success lists and not to-do lists. And you and I have talked about this, Carey, but, women really need to start looking like you talked about at their vision, how they want to be the best version of themselves. How do we help them get to be the best version of themselves? And really, let's go ahead and just retire that badge of busy and make sure that your daily activities aren't just being busy to be busy in your business, because that's exhausting and no longer is that something that's awarded.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I love what you just said, Colleen, is to get rid of the to-do list and make a success list.
Yeah.
Love that. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, everyone listening should write that down too. So a few things we've given you today is to take the time to write down what it is you want, right? What is it that you want out of your life in all areas of your life, spiritually, health wise. So your physical, what do you want out of a marriage or a significant other? What do you want out of your spiritual, your religious side? What do you want for your family? And then you also talked about taking the time to write a letter, and writing out a 3-year letter gives us the opportunity to look at what does our life really look like in 3 years. So what do we want? What does that life really look like in 3 years? And, be present in the journey. It's a delicate balance, but do your best to be present and enjoy the journey. I'll share with you a quick story. I went and decided to do a half marathon with my brother-in-law 2 days notice before the half marathon. Now, I hadn't been a runner for 3 years. I was in the past a big runner. I used to run half marathons and I did runs every single month, but I hadn't ran in years. I decided to go to Taekwondo and become a black belt instead. So that is not the same as running. I said, I'll do it with you. I just want to be there by your side. I was in a lot of pain running this half marathon. We never stopped. We were very slow. I think the first time I ran it, my time was like 2 hours and 10 minutes. This time it was like 3.5 hours. And everyone asked me, what was your time? What was your time? I'm like 3.5 hours. Anyone could have made it in 3.5 hours. But I got to see the elite runners running a marathon lap of me and watch them. And by then, in my previous runs, I would have been finished, packed up in my car, home, icing. I never would have seen these finishers come through. So for me to be able to watch that and then just enjoy the journey and meet people along the way, ask them why they're running, all these things I've never done before because I was laser focused on the end game. And that's all I did. When we look up, we look around and we start looking at the journey and what we're doing, it is much more enjoyable than just going to the next win and the next win and and having this laser focus. So I want to encourage women listening today or men that are listening today to think about your life. Are you enjoying the journey, or are you so focused on the next win you don't even take time to celebrate a win or enjoy the people that are around you
Right.
and the gratitudes of what you have in your life today, because we just always want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. And, I write gratitudes every day, and I know you do too.
Hmm.
Um, and I have to tell you, on the days that it's a little bit more challenging, I encourage people to write more gratitudes because there is an energy connection there. It's actually even biblical that God says, I will supply the strength you need for how your day is, right?
Yeah.
The bigger the challenge, the more he's going to show up. But it's also a test of faith and a test of being grateful for where we are right now. I mentioned to you that I'm in Oklahoma City all week, and it's been sub-zero degrees and snow, and a lot of people have lost power, have lost pipes bursting, the whole thing. And the first gratitude I had this morning was that I'm in this warm apartment and that my daughter and her family are safe and it's all good.
Yeah.
Everything falls after that.
Yeah.
Everything
So
falls after.
true. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've had mornings where I've cried through gratitudes because
Yeah.
I just was really struggling.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the best ways to start your day off. And I do recommend doing them early in the morning as
Yeah.
well for people to write those. And some might say, yeah, that doesn't really work. It does, because scientifically you cannot have negativity in your mind at the same
Mhm.
time that you're thinking about gratitudes and positivity. They don't exist at the same time.
Right.
So if you're purposefully thinking about things you are grateful for, you cannot be negative
Yep.
about those items. It just scientifically can't exist. So it is another way for us to set our mind straight, because we're responsible for us, period. And how our perspective is and how we approach something. Like you said, I can either sit here and wallow and just be depressed about what the weather looks like outside, or I can just be so grateful that I have this warm apartment and I'm not out there in the cold. And it is pretty to look at. I'm thankful my daughter has a warm place. My grandchild has a warm place, and that I get to be that close to your family
Right.
and not be in Arizona where you also live, but you're that much further away from your son-in-law, your daughter, and your grandchild.
That's true.
He's adorable, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
He's so
I,
cute.
I'm biased, of course, but he gets cuter by the day.
Of
Seriously.
course. They
Yeah.
all get cuter by the day. My
Yes.
granddaughter, when I watched her last night, was even cute throwing up. Her,
Yeah.
my daughter needed her into the store, so I babysat her for a few minutes. She was sick. The other one started having diarrhea. It was not a fun hour for me at all, but they're still cute as a button. And you
Right.
just feel so sorry for them when they don't feel good.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
just feel so sorry for them, and we love them anyway. Now, raising my own kids, it looked a little bit different, but having my grandkids, my daughter always says, you would never have allowed me to do that when I was that age. I'm like,
I
of course
know.
not.
I know.
But now they're my grandkids, so of course
Yeah.
I allow it.
Yeah. I'm watching my daughter now teach him some things. Like she said no, and she's slapped his little hand the other day, and he started crying, and it broke my heart. And she looked at me, she said, Mom, seriously? Like, you were such the disciplinarian in our like, yeah, I know, but he's crying.
I know, so many times I sweep them up and I'm like, Grandma's got you, don't worry. because then I was temporarily only around because they lived out of state, but now I can't do that because then they
Right.
just want to run to grandma and they don't want to listen to mom. But
No.
all right, Carey, so we're wrapping up here. Let's go ahead and talk about what are some next events that you have. And for all of you listening, we'll have all those links right here at your fingertips for you on Facebook, same thing. How you can get in touch with Carey, how you can get in touch with Carey to go to one of our free workshops, to learn about vision. And if that's something you need in your life, talk to us about what you have coming up, Carey.
I'm filling my calendar as we speak, Colleen. So what I've been offering people is to have a 15-minute vision check phone call with me. If they want to just say, okay, here's what I'm thinking. What do you feel? I'm really good about reading between the lines really fast when people talk to me because I've done this so long. So that's the next best thing. And then you and I, of course, are collaborating on some mastermind retreats and some other things. So really
Yes.
excited about you and I working on that next.
Yeah, I need to put a little feeler out there and say if you are feeling that you need to be surrounded by women at the next level that can feed your next level of success, that can really feed your wealth and remove the badge of busy and move you from success to that significance level, that legacy level. Carey and I have decided to put together a group, a very private group of women to be able to get together on a regular basis, to be able to really come together, the master of the minds, and bring in some high level leaders and high level speakers to be able to help us move to that level and beyond. And that takes surrounding yourself with the right people.
Totally does.
Yeah.
Collaboration, is one of my core values, Colleen.
Yeah.
I just do better when I'm collaborating with other people. So I'm excited about that.
Good.
Yeah. So best way to people to reach me is just to email me. I can send in my little calendar for a 15-minute check. And then I know you and I are going to be emailing out some more information about the retreats.
Yeah. So we'll have all of that information there for you guys to click on and reach out to Carey. You can check out her website and see all of her events she has going on and schedule yourself for those. She has a lot of free events that she does. And if you're also, a youth or a family, and a very young family, Carey works with a lot of very young families and helping them. This isn't just about families that, or a individual woman that owns her own business. She works with families and really helping them get on the right course for their lives. That's very important. I feel like a lot of young families, if they don't have parents that are guiding them in that, they need that additional guidance.
Colleen, thank you, because I did mention that briefly, that my daughter and I created a program for young adults and families called VIVA, Vision is Victory Academy. And that launched last month, January of this year. So we're excited about that. And it's a great group. So love to have some more members there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always good to be surrounded by other people that are like-minded, that could be going through some of the same challenges that you are. So I heavily recommend that people reach out to you, that our listeners reach out to learn more about how they can get involved in that. So Carey, thanks for joining us today. Really excited to have you here. I think on our next episode, we'll have Lisa Sung Sutton. We were hoping that she would be with us today, but something else had come up. And you know me, I can think quick on my feet. We can get anything done that we need to moving forward. And so I'm really excited about having her on our show next time. We also are going to be talking to a gentleman called Rocky Lovano. And what I love about Rocky is he teaches profit first. And if you don't know anything about profit first, be on the lookout for that episode, because it will change the way that your finances look in your business. It has changed the way the finances look in my husband's business. Our whole weekend away was on profit money. Profit first is what he goes by. And so it's so nice to have that extra money just sitting there for you to go and do what it is that you want to do for vacation or buy something nice for yourself. So stay tuned for that one. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was just remember, ladies, you are the only you that has ever been. You are the only you that will ever be. So how you pioneer your future is up to you. Nobody is coming to give you permission. You must first give yourself permission to step out and step in the spotlight. So we need to speak up to lead up, right, Carey?
Absolutely. And I love how you say pioneer your future. I'm going to borrow that too.
You can take it. It's all yours. All right, Carey, thanks for joining us today. And everyone, thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye now. Bye, everybody on Facebook.